how do we bring Survival 2.0 to the Division 2? Now, a few ideas. Now, again, it can start with another helicopter crash. Just like you see in the intro to the Division 1 Survival, where you're retrieving some antivirals in the Blizzard. Now, if you had to put a little narrative spin on it, it's not necessary, but you could either have this where you're returning from New York, from the Warlords of New York expansion, and then you go down. Or the end of Season 4 Manhunt Fei Lao, where you're returning back to DC and Black Tusk shoots you down. Now, it's not very necessary, but, you know, if they were to add something like that, you know, for a little narrative, then, you know, they could. However, there's two ideas for this mode, and, you know, if you had the option of selecting what map you wanted to go to, and then if it's PvP or PvE, right? Now, I've got, you know, the ideas later in the video for the respective maps. Now, with that little teaser of, say, if it's the New York map, then it would be hurricane weather, lightning storms, thunderstorms, thick fog, heavy rain, and you haven't survived that. On that side of the map, you'd use the power to stay warm, similar to the first game, but you'd be fighting hunger, you'd need water, you'd need painkillers from having an accident from going down. Or if it was you're spawning in DC, then it'd be DC 62 all over the place. Lightning storm. It would be sandstorms with DC 62 going everywhere, right? So you'd have your gas mask on, hot summer weather, you'd be fighting dehydration, you'd need food, you'd need painkillers, and you'd be escaping the map in horrible heat. On that idea of the map, you wouldn't need to loot clothing as much because it'd be very hot, so you'd just be fighting dehydration. And one of the ideas for the resources tab for your character, where you're selecting your food and drink, to make it very simple with the UI, it would actually be to replace the emotes tab, which is down on your D-pad on controller. So I don't actually know what it is as the keybind for PC. So what you do is you go press down and then you select what you want. So, you know, select your water, your food, for your consumables, or your energy bars. Again, or medkits. Now, this mode could bring back the medkits, and it could also keep the armor kits. Now, there'd be a trade-off of using the two. Health kits would be on the UI wheel. Now, it would just replace your health. Your armor kit would actually heal you for health and armor, so that would be the Uber one to go for. In the crafting section, I'm just going to say it now because I pre-recorded that bit, which I forgot. You know, when you're crafting your mods as well, like your armor on kill, that can synergize with you going with a health kit. So there's that. So there's some ideas there. Now, when you're running across the map again, it would also be time-based as well. So like the session would last for 2 hours. It would slowly tick away. Just like the first game, the more painkillers and morphine you take, it pauses the session's time. So it's keeping some of the original mechanics and throwing some newer ideas in there as well from the original game. We're now going to go into the pre-recorded parts, which I've already said, for crafting, the factions, the rewards, and how either map could work. So let's get into that right now. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel at any time if you enjoy any part of this video. Also, very quickly before we jump into the next part, if you haven't seen the previous video where I talk about what types of content can be added for year 3 in general, so many things that can work for the open world and for PvP, then be sure to check that one out. I will link that at the end of the video. But yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so moving into crafting. So again, in every safe room, there's a crafting station. For crafting your gear, similar to the original iteration of the mode, your greens, your blues, your purple gear and weapons, deconstructing for fabrics and components, right? will help you craft with enough of those resources their respective counterparts again for what you're looking for. Attributes wise, again, they will be completely random. Skill tier, armor, or the offensive attributes. However, for crafting the elite gear and weapons, now in the Division 1 we had the Division Tech. In the Division 2 it was replaced by Shade Tech, which is basically the same thing. It was just a token that you had to use to unlock your skills in the base game. And then in the Warlords campaign, that was again used to unlock a Shade Cache where you could get some gear. Now, boss kills could drop you one Shade Tech component, and at each landmark there could be, you know, a weapon crate you could open up. That would also give you 1 to 2 pieces of Shade Tech component as well. Again, a little bit similar to being in the DZ in the original iteration, you know, just with a twist. Now, with that as a component, you'd still be able to craft the respected virus filter, extra armor kit slot. With a twist, health kits, as I've previously mentioned. So medkits, you'd be able to craft those as well. Depending on one of my 2 types of ideas for, say, the New York map or the DC map, to extract and survive the mode, again, you'd have to craft a flare gun. You'd also, or either have to craft a radio, right, to escape the mode. Little bit of a, you know, similar older aspect of the mode, and a little bit of a newer idea thrown in there too. And I think that would work. And it'd also be quite similar to what, you know, older Division players that played the first game are similarly used to at the same time, if that makes sense. But now we're going to move into the factions. So typically you'll see many Roman groups of reds and purples of, you know, each faction. That'll be standard. However, they'll be quite often and dotted around the map. There'll be many elite patrols, again, of different factions. You know, you can have the sewer faction, Black Tusk, cleaners, you know, all the factions, right? But like I said in my previous video, and I think I mentioned it at the start, dynamically spawning rogue agents can still happen, and hunters, right? So they can still, you know, just appear. Now, if it was the New York hunters, then it'd be like the old covert style hunters. If it was the DC ones, then it'd be like their newer, you know, looking versions, you know, they're more summary look ones, right? You know, so again, you get that bit of a little music twist if it's rogue agents. If it's hunters, then you know, you've got that little static thing going off, and then, you know, that EMP effect, right? Now, hunters are very underutilized in this game, and having them dynamically spawn, like, even not in this mode, in the open world, would actually bring more of a use for that archetype, because they're, again, severely underused, and they're a really cool faction, actually, if you think about it. Again, when we go into each map idea, you know, at the end, the hunters still get used. So we're going to move on to that one in a moment. Again, some of these elite patrols could actually have a named boss in them as well. So again, going back to the crafting section, you know, if you kill a named boss just in the open world, not tied to a landmark, you know, that one has a chance of dropping Shade Tech, right, to help you craft an elite item. So yeah, you know, just a little bit of a twist there, right? Then we're going to like move into like a bit more of the mode itself and how it can play out. with either the New York map or the DC map. So we'll start with the New York map because that one is going to be a little bit different. So all agents are spawned into the map on the New York side, right? If the New York expansion gets a dark zone, a quite big one, as I proposed in my last video, then all players would spawn on the outer outskirts of the map and south, and you'd work your way north to a dark zone, right? However, if we don't get a dark zone, then all players start on the outskirts and north, and we work our way southwards to the Liberty Island ferry terminal, right? The ferry terminal will be the way to extract from the map. That'll be where you'd have to craft a radio. So when you get there, again, it's going to be quite like a landmark, so to speak, but it's going to be difficult, all right? Because you get there, right? You call for your radio extraction. And then, you're waiting 2 minutes for a ferry or a boat to come in. But this is your hunter face-off, right? This is the hunter face-off. So it'd be like level 100 on Summit, so to speak, right? However, this scales to group. So if you go in as a group, this scales, right? So again, you have to kill them to leave the mode. Again, all the open world, or if the dark zone was there, you'd have landmarks to loot, chopper crash sites, etc. Except in the New York map, it wouldn't be quite that DC 60 sandstorm. It would be more like just a hurricane, really. Lots of rain, dark, murky. It would be like the original Survival, just without snow. It would just be foggy, rainy, and pretty grim. So again, actually on that aspect, you could be looting for clothing just to stay warm and dry. Still after food, water, and painkillers from the original crash. So that's how that one could play out. Moving into the Washington side of it. Now, what we could happen is whichever side all agents, like the radius agents spawn in, if it was on the side where Dark Zone East is and players are spawning in there, then the game will tell you on that server, the mode at that time, that you need to leave the map by Dark Zone West. So you have to make your way across the map. Now, you're looting across the way, you fight, like I say, you'd be fighting that sandstorm, summer heat, dehydration, going to landmarks along the way, looting. There'd be many safe houses along the way to craft if you needed to, and the chopper crash sites as well. So again, another type of landmark there. So some, again, older like mechanic things, and a little bit of newer things with a twist. Again, rogue agents, the AI ones, and hunters can still dynamically spawn anywhere on the map. So again, on the DC side of the aspect, because of the sandstorm, visibility is quite poor. So you've got that on your side to stand and fight, or you can run away. Which, would be quite cool. All of these ideas on the PvP aspect of the mode, like, yes, sure, all the AI, right? But then even funnier is if you had like the rogue agent spawn, right, and you had players, you wouldn't know straight off, because if you unlocked your skills, if it was the AI or the player. So it would actually be quite funny, but some people might not like that idea, so that is what it is. But that's just some ideas. And then again, on the DC map, you make it to the dark zone, you call in the extraction with a flare gun, you go on that sort of you have that face off with hunters again. So similar thing. Now, when you're in the dark zone and you're at landmarks, there's going to be the dark zone chest. Now, and also boss loot can be cache, like sealed caches, right? Now, these types of sealed caches will be extractable. Your extraction bag for the New York map and the Darkzone map. Again, quickly going back to New York map, boss kills and landmark chests for that map in case it didn't get a Darkzone. Again, we'd have sealed caches as well. Now, your bag can hold 10 to 20 items to leave the mode with. Again, these items can be exotic caches, optimization caches, so resources, named items, all the types of caches that we have in the game are lootable, right? So the optimization cache, for example, that could have an increased amount in resources because of the mode and how long it takes to go through the mode. So that's just an idea. Again, you face off, you extract. You've got 20 reward caches. Again, every sort of month or so, there could be the end game mode of the hunter face off. There could be a unique hunter mask to grind for as well. And, also a weekly project for the mode as well. So again, you're doing some shade recalibration. The mode could offer like 50 shade recalibration for completing it on a weekly, an exotic cache, and some optimization materials. So that's just a few ideas there. And I'm interested, I feel like this video has gone on long enough, and if any of you have actually watched through it the whole way, then I really appreciate it. So let me know in the comments down below. But these are some ideas just to bring the mode back. Like, the community really wants this mode back, and because of the mechanics of the Division 2, I've tried to think of the ways that you can bring some of those original mechanics back, but keep it in line with the Division 2. And honestly, let me know what you think below, because this idea of the mode 100% is dedicated to the PvE and PvP players. This isn't isolating one side of the community for content. This is content for both sides. And I want to know what you think, because I am having this passed on to the dev team. Like, my previous video is in document form. That's been sent to the team. So again, if you haven't checked that out before, then 100% go check that out, and then leave your feedback on that one as well. It really helps the channel grow. I appreciate it. I'm out. Enjoy the rest of your day.